Hello YouTube, this is Darkon633, and today we're taking a look at Titan Returns Deluxe class Mongso and Wolfwire. Now this figure is kind of an anomaly just by name-wise, is because it seems like Hasbro was not able to acquire either names for either the Titan Master or the main body for the Transformer itself. So it's a really weird thing, because in the original cartoon, obviously his name is Weirdwolf and Monzo. So while they were able to get Mongso, it is kind of weird that they weren't able to get the original names, and it's just kind of strange that they named it to, because it seems like they were so close to and yet so far away from the mark. So that's kind of a disappointment, but it doesn't really matter because you could just name your toys whatever. So we're going to take a look at the box first as normal. So take Wolfwire off to the side and take a look at the box. The box shows he turns into the wolf mode there. His head up there. Transfers in 15 steps, and the usual promotions as normal. So that's pretty much it there. Obviously, the main accessory the figures include is the head, the sword, the gun, and also a character card as normal, which we'll get to now. So here is Wolfwire's character card. His stats are kind of all over the place, but still pretty good. So now we're going to take a look at the figure itself. Just as a little comparison, here he is next to his G1 counterpart, which is pretty close, but obviously the G1 toy is a lot more bulky than the new design. So we're just going to take this out to the side. And now we're going to take a look at the articulation points. The head is on the standard swivel ball joint, so that's really good, with no restrictions. Shoulders are on ball joints, can move out decently. Swivels at the biceps. Single joints at the elbows, but it kind of indents in by the way the transformation works. The hands can kind of move, but once again it is a transformation joint, so not exactly a main joint there. He has waist articulation. Ball jointed hips, so it has good movement there. Swivels at the thighs. Decent knee articulation. And unlike some of the others, he actually has full joints at the ankles because it is on a ball joint. So that's really cool that he actually has that. So he's a little bit more articulated, at least in terms of his legs. So that's really cool. Now, before we go on to the transformation, we're just going to show off the gimmick for the gun as normal. The gun has a large indent inside there, which allows you to put any Titan Master inside. They're just going to transform Monzo. You can just plug any Titan Master in, so it fits in pretty snugly, like that. And from the way I could tell, it looks like this might also have that backwards gun design, since you need to peg it in and so on, so it's kind of weird. Anyways, we're going to take Monzo up to the side and go on to the transformation. Now, before we go into the transformation, one thing I do not like about the robot mode is that this back panel piece, which forms the canopy piece in his beast mode, just looks really bad. I wish there was a way you can push it into the body, but unfortunately this is a single solid piece that goes nowhere, so that is unfortunate. First, we're going to take out the sword, which will form its tail later. We're going to open up the arms and collapse the hands on both sides. We're going to move these, since this will become the front of the beast mode. And we're going to swivel these around so that they face forward, like so. Put it at a certain bend because he doesn't have his legs fully straight. Collapse the beast mode head so it looks like this. And then what we're going to do is you're going to need to open this up a bit like this. So when you pull it down, it's going to open up like that. And then this is where it gets a bit tricky because of these little components. We're going to bend this into a position like this. So basically it is on a hinge inside the body. And these will slide into the little slots that's on the sides here inside the open cavity. What we're going to do next is swivel this, but as you can see, it does get in the way a bit, so you do need to play around with it, and it does pop up, so there you go. I'm trying to put it in. Okay. Now we're going to collapse the heels. And similar to some Transformers I've seen, I forgot exactly what Transformers do this, you're going to pull these so that the inner legs are exposed, and these will form the beast legs. It gets a little tricky. Let's see if I'm trying to get together. There we go. It just forms something like this on the back. The back legs aren't the most engineered, like, really nicely. It has a lot of weird things going for it, but it does what it needs to do. And you're going to slide in the tail into place where it's an empty slot inside the back piece here, and that will form the tail. And then, before we close the canopy, we're going to actually put in Monzo, which he does go in kind of weird because of the way that the open piece here does. You kind of need to kind of just shove him in, and it's kind of not the best way of ching, since he kind of just sits there and there's just so much empty space inside the area here. So that is not the best design, but once you close it, he does stay in pretty decently. It just has all that empty space. It's just something I didn't really like about this mode too much. Just trying to place it in so that he can fit. So it allows the canopy to close. It can be a little bit tricky though, because the head does get in the way just a tad bit. So yeah, he kind of needs to lay down from what I could tell, so that's not the best engineered. So here we have Wolfwire in his beast mode. And here we have Wolfwire in his beast mode. And unlike the G1 design, which is really bulky in both modes, this is a lot more stylized, and it actually looks really good outside of the weird leg joint on the back. Articulation in this mode, he does have the same ball joints as seen in the robot mode, swivels as well in the front, and ball jointed hands, so that's pretty good. He does have waist swivel, but it's not going to go that much because this big piece here actually gets in the way. He does have joints there, but unfortunately mine suffers from some QC problems, as you see there. The joints like to pop off quite a bit, especially when it comes to the feet here, and I think that's absolutely annoying, so that's one thing I do not like about this mold all too much, although it looks really nice. So as mentioned, he does have ball joints here and ball joints in the feet there. Does have some joints out here, but it kind of breaks the illusion when you move the pieces around too much. Tail can swivel kind of bit, but that's not really articulation point in my opinion. And the mouth can open and close with actually pretty decent detail inside the mouth, so that's really cool. In this mode, basically what you can do is take this, and this will be able to attach here on these empty pieces right here. So now you got him fully armed up, similar to what you would see maybe in the G1 design. Just as a comparison, here he is next to his G1 toy in beast mode, and as mentioned earlier, it's really bulky. It's also really small compared to the new release, and it's definitely not aged as much as some of the other Headmasters in the G1 toy, since it does have the very old 80s style large bulkiness in a lot of the older toys. So overall, I think they did a pretty nice job for Wolfwire outside of the QC problems the figure kind of has. So outside of the QC problems and the somewhat bizarre leg joints in his beast mode, I think Hasbro did a really fantastic job and an update for Wolfwire / Weirdwolf, and I think this is one of the best Decepticons we got so far in the Titan Returns line, in my opinion, and I think they did a really nice job with this version of the character. So I highly recommend picking this up along with pretty much the entire wave of Wave 2, since compared to Wave 1, a lot of the QC problems outside of the ones mentioned here is definitely a lot better in this wave in the overall sense, and just the selection of characters did a lot better in my opinion between the first and second wave here. So I highly recommend picking this up. Anyways, please comment, subscribe, and check out Hero Club. Also, please check out me on Twitter under Darkon633, and please check down the other channels down below. I'll be back with more Transformers reviews, but for now, I'll be seeing you on YouTube. Bye.